Unveiling the mystery of a woman's soul, captivating. Chapter 1. The heart of a woman. Sometimes it's hard to be a woman. Tammy with he, he saw that Fatima's eyes were filled with tears. You're crying? I'm a woman of the desert, she said, averting her face. But above all, I'm a woman. Paulo Cielo. Coelho. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel free. Let's do it! Dusk was settling in. The air was cool, fragrant with pine and sage. And the swiftly moving river beckoned. We were camping in the Tetuns, and it so happened that our canoe was on top of the car. Let's put in. John looked at me as if I had lost my mind. In less than 20 minutes, night would be upon us, and the river and the woods. All would be pitch black. We'd be on the river alone, with only a general idea of which way to go down, where to take out, head for the road, and a long walk back to the car. Who knew what dangers lay out there? He looked again at me, looked at our young sons, and then said, "Okay." We sprang into action. The evening was stunning. The river's graceful movements caused the water's colors to shift from cobalt to silver to black. No other person was in sight. We had oxbow band to ourselves. In other persons was inside. In record time, we had the canoe in the river, life vests securely fastened, paddles at the ready, buoys installed, and off we went, a race to the drinks as deeply, of as much beauty as possible together. An old wooden bridge hung low across the river. Its broken remains looked as though they would collapse at the next strong breeze. We had to duck to pass underneath. Carefully, we navigated the winding channels of the Snake. Joan in back, me in front, our three boys in between, full of wonder and delight. As the stars began, three boys in between. As the stars began to come out, we were like the children present at the creation of Narnia. The sky so clear, the stars so close. We held our breath as one fell slowly, slowly across the sky and disappeared. A beaver slapped the river, the sound like a rifle shot, frightening two ducks into flight. But all we could see between the darkened water and sky were the white ripples of their wake, like synchronized water skiers. Owls began their nightly calls in the woods above, joined by sandhill cranes along the shore. The sounds were familiar, yet otherworldly. We whispered to one another about each new wonder as the paddles dipped almost but not quite silently in and out of the water. Night fell. Time to take out. We planned to go ashore along a cove closer to the road so we wouldn't have to walk too far to find our car. We didn't dare try to take out where we had put in. That would require paddling against the current with little abilities to see where we were going. As we drifted toward the bank, a bull moose rose from the tall grasses, exactly where we had planned to come ashore. He was as dark as the night. We could see him only because he was silhouetted against the sky, jagged mountains behind. He was huge. He was gorgeous. He was in the way, blocking the only exit we had. More people are killed in national parks by moose than by any other animal. Remarkable speed, 1,700 pounds of muscle, and antlers, and total unpredictability make them dangerous indeed. It would take about 2 seconds for him to hit the water running and capsize our canoe. We could not pass. The mood changed. Joan and I were worried now. There were only one alternative to this way out, now close to us, and that was paddling back up river in what had become total darkness. Silently, soberly, we turned the canoe and headed up, searching for the right channel that would keep us out of the main current. We hadn't planned on that adventure taking a turn, but suddenly everything was required. John must still steer with skill. I must paddle with strength. One mistake on our part and the strong current would force the canoe broadside, fill it, and sweep our boys off downriver into the night. It was glorious. We did it. He did. I did. We rose to the challenge working together, and the fact that it required all of me, that I was in it with my family and for my family, that I was surrounded by wild, simmering beauty, and it was, well, kind of dangerous, made the time transcendent. I was no longer Stacy. I was Sakagawa, Indian princess of the West, a valiant and strong woman. A woman's journey. I'm trying to remember when I first knew in my heart that I was no longer a girl, but had become a woman. Was it when I graduated from high school or college? Did I know it when I married? When I became a mother? I am 45 years old as I write this, but there remain places in my heart that still feel so very young. As I think back on what would be considered rites for of passage in my life, I understand why my journey has felt so unguided, uncertain. The day I started my period, my family embarrassed me at the dinner table by breaking out in song, "This girl is a woman now." I didn't feel any different. All I felt was mortified that they knew. I stared at my plate, suddenly fascinated by corn. The day I got my first bra, a training bra, the kind with stretchy material over the front, one of my sisters pulled me into the hallway where, to my horror, my father stood and ready to take my picture. They said I would laugh about it later. I haven't. Like so many other women, I was left alone to navigate my way through adolescence, through my changing and awakening body, a picture of my changing and awakening heart. No counsel was given for the journey into womanhood. I was encouraged, however, to eat less. My father pulled me aside and told me, "No boy will love you if you're fat." I joined the feminist movement in college, searching, as so many women did in the 70s, for a sense of self. I actually became director of the Women's Resource Center at the Liberal State University in California. But no matter how much I asserted my strength and independence as a woman, hear me raw. My heart as a woman remained empty. To be told when you are young and searching that you can be anything is not helpful. It's too vast. It gives no direction. To be told when you are older that you can do anything a man can do isn't helpful either. I didn't want to be a man. What does it mean to be a woman? And as for romance, I stumbled through that mysterious terrain with only movies and music as a guide. Like so many women I know, I struggled alone through the mess of several broken hearts. My last year in college, I fell in love for real, and this young man truly loved me back. John and I dated for 2.5 years and then became engaged. As we made wedding plans, my mother gave me a rare bit of counsel, in this case, her marriage advice. It was twofold. First, love flies out the window when there's no pork chop on the table. And second, always keep your kitchen floor clean. It makes the whole house look better. I caught her drift, namely that my new position as wife centered in the kitchen, making the pork chops and cleaning up after them. I somehow believed that upon saying "I do," I would be magically transformed into Betty Crocker. I imagined myself baking fresh bread, looking flushed and beautiful as I removed the streaming loaves from the oven. No matter that I hadn't cooked but 5 meals in my entire life, I set about preparing dinners, breakfasts even, with determination and zeal. After 2 weeks of this, I lay on the couch despondent, announcing that I didn't know what was for dinner and that John was on his own. Besides, the kitchen floor was dirty. I have failed. My story is like most women's stories. We've received all sorts of messages, but very little help in what it means to become a woman, and very little guidance as to what a real woman even is. As one young woman recently wrote us, I remember when I was 10 asking myself as well as older females in my life how a woman of God could actually be confident, scandalous, and beautiful, yet not portray herself as a feminist Nazi or an insecure I need attention emotional whore. How can I become a strong woman without becoming harsh? How can I be vulnerable without drowning myself in my sorrow? There seems to be a growing number of books on the masculine journey, rites of passage, initiations, and like many of them helpful. But there has been precious little wisdom offered on the path to becoming a woman. Oh, we know the expectations that have been laid upon us by our families, our churches, and our cultures. There are reams of materials on what you ought to do to be a good woman. But that is not the same thing as knowing what the journey toward becoming a woman involves, or even what the goal really should be. The church has not been a big help here. No, that's not quite honest enough. The church has been part of the problem. It massaged to women, um, Its message to women has been primarily, you are here to serve, that's why God created you, to serve. In the nursery, in the kitchen, on the various committees, in your home, in your community. Seriously now, picture the women we hold up as models of femininity in the church. They are sweet, they are helpful, and their hair is coiffed. They're busy, they're disciplined, they are composed, and they're tired. Think about the woman you meet in church. They're trying to live up to some model of femininity. What do they teach you about being a woman? What are they saying to us through their lives? Like we said, you'd have to conclude that a godly woman is tired and guilty. We are all living in the shadow of the infamous icon, the Proverbs 31 woman, whose life is so busy, I wonder. When does she have time for friendships, for taking walks, to reading good books? Her light never goes out at night. When does she have sex? Somehow she has sanctified the shame most women live under. Biblical proof that yet again we don't measure up. Is that supposed to be godly? The sense that you are a failure as a woman?